Hi guys, I'm Wes.
And I'm Deborah.
And I'm Dara.
For today's lesson, we're going to cover
Teacher identity.
So guys, what do you feel about teacher identity?
Well, I think a teacher is someone who makes me interested in a subject.
Right, Dara, that's one view. What about you, Deborah?
I don't know, Dara. I reckon if they can just pass all the information to me, I'd be happy out.
I'm pretty similar to that. I think teaching is just about getting a grade at the end of the day, isn't it? We want the leaving cert and all that.
No, I completely disagree, guys. I'm afraid.
Why?
A teacher is someone who makes you interested in a subject and inspires some lifelong learning.
So you're thinking they're talking outside of their subject?
Yeah, definitely. That
Is it all about the young people?
It is all about young people. Always.
It's one view to have, Dara. I like it.
Okay, guys. So today I'm going to look and discuss the historical context of the traditional teacher and how their identity from the view of the outside world has changed. Okay, so what does becoming a teacher mean? Transforming an identity, adopting personal understandings and ideals, and deciding how to express yourself in the classroom. Traditional teaching sees the teacher as the controller and being central in the teaching environment. They see students as having holes that need to be filled in with information, and this teacher-centred approach is closely linked to behaviouristic theory.
Sounds fascinating, Deborah. What kind of traits do these traditional teachers have?
Thanks, Dara. Well, they're mostly controlling, formal, autocratic, directive, and sometimes even cold. So this teacher believes that it is solely because of the teacher that learning starts to happen. They like to be the centre of attention. So what does this teach students to be? It teaches students to be obedient, sometimes even fearful, compliant, and often not expressing their own opinions.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the the Great Depression, passed the a tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression.
Mr. Honan, has anything changed regarding teacher identity?
Well, a lot has changed. During the late 19th century, educational theorists such as John Dewey, Jean Piaget, and Lev Vygotsky put forward revolutionary ideas on the nature of education and teaching. These theorists and their followers, known as constructivists, believed that education should be student-centered, be concerned with real life, and should be a social activity which involved peer collaboration.
So the teacher isn't at the centre of the classroom anymore?
No. This had a profound effect on teacher identity. They were no longer the centre of the classroom, but rather a facilitator. Instead of lecturing, their role would be encouraging students to find their own meaning in the material. This emphasis moved the centre of attention from the teacher to the student.
So Dara, talk to me about the effects ICT has had in the classroom.
Thanks for asking, Wes. Yes, ICT, like constructivism, has again forced teachers to question their own identity and role within the class. Technology allows students to discover information and solutions to problems independently. This has meant that teachers no longer have the elevated status of sole guardians of information and knowledge within the classroom. It has also helped teachers greatly outside the classroom, as they can now direct students to sites and aids on the internet which assists independent learning and discovery. These technological changes have further accelerated the evolution of teacher identity from director-controller to facilitator-coordinator.
So guys, we're now going to discuss the role the modern teacher plays. The modern teacher's identity within the classroom is that of a facilitator for their students. The focus is now on the students. They are responsible for their learning. They are autonomous in their learning. Okay, this is achieved through a number of different evidence-based teaching styles.
Sir, what do you mean by teaching styles?
I'm glad you asked, Lisa. There are many different modern teaching styles, two of which I will run through now. One of them is feedback or assessment of learning. Feedback allows the students to become involved in their learning. It helps students to identify their errors and establish how they can improve in the future. It's not just about the grade they get, it's how they've learned or what they have learned. The second one we are going to talk about is cooperative learning. Cooperative learning is said to improve a student's result by at least a grade, but it is important to note that there are so many other reasons why it's effective. It is said to improve students' behaviour, boosts their self-esteem, increases motivation, as we've seen in Yellen's framework, is very important, and it also is said to boost the way students receive each other. The modern teacher's identity is not just as a teacher of their specific subject or domain, but a teacher of young people. Teachers should aim to incorporate this in their lesson planning by talking about issues on both local and national stages. Development education provides the ideal opportunity to do this.
What is development education?
Development education involves providing an understanding of the unequal world we live in. Okay, an example of this would be unequal distribution of profit during the production of chocolate bars. The start in Africa with the farmers and the cocoa buyers, and that finishes up on our shelves through our government. So development education is one aspect of modern teachers' identity. Another that we're going to discuss is this concept of the teacher as a professional. What's your understanding of someone who's a professional, Deborah?
Someone professional, wow, I'd say someone suave in a suit maybe?
Yeah, good idea, good idea. Might be maybe someone who reaches and maintains the highest standard, who focuses on serving the needs of the clients. That's probably what's required from a teacher. The modern teacher is seen as a professional in his field. Okay? Someone who goes to school dressing smart, comes to work prepared for the day.
So all this change we've talked about from the traditional teacher, how it's come about through ICT, development education, professionalism, has been positive on their teacher's identity, or has it?
It's a very good question, Deborah. The change in culture and the increased public accountability on teachers has increased external pressures. But this is what should be expected, right? Because they are professionals after all. However, it must be noted that it is leading to reduced motivation, efficacy, commitment and effectiveness in teaching performance. We will leave you with this question. What will teachers' identity look like in the future?
You have to look at it in another way. Even though it may seem silly or wrong, you must try. Now, when you read, don't just consider what the author thinks. Consider what you think. Boys, you must strive to find your own voice. Because the longer you wait to begin, the less likely you are to find it at all. Thoreau said most men lead lives of quiet desperation. Don't be resigned to that. Break out. Now don't just walk off the edge like lemmings. Look around you. There you go, Mr. Christie. Thank you. Yes.
That's an example of a teacher who is very comfortable with his identity. Thanks very much for listening. My name is Wes.
And I'm Deborah.
I'm Lisa.
And I've been Darragh Honan.
So, has anything changed regarding teacher identity?
Yes, a lot has changed regarding teacher identity. During the late 19th century, educational theorists such as John Dewey, Jean Piaget, and Lev Vygotsky put forward revolutionary ideas on the nature of education and teaching. These theorists and their followers were known as constructivists, and they believed that education should be student-centered, be concerned with real life, and involve peer collaboration.
So the teacher isn't the centre of attention anymore?
No, this had a profound effect on teacher identity. They were no longer the centre of the classroom, but rather a facilitator. Instead of lecturing, their role would be to encourage students to find their own meaning in the material. The emphasis had now moved from the teacher to the student.